Shadrack Sibiya's counterclaim is that the MK party played a role in building the allegations against him, and he also claimed that General Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi's social media popularity was orchestrated. However, based on available reporting, these claims have not been supported with documented evidence publicly, and that weakens their current credibility. My name is Alokwan, and these are the news that matter the most. Right now, at the Madlanga Commission, suspended Deputy National Commissioner for Crime Detection, Shadrack Sibiya, is at the center of 4 major allegation streams. Let's unpack it properly. Now, the first one is alleged cartel links and tender payments. An audio recording was played to the commission. Now, in that recording, businessman Matlala allegedly claims he paid Sibiya up to 1 million rands per month, which is linked to the SAPS contract reportedly worth 360 million. There's also WhatsApp evidence presented, testimony from a witness known as Witness F, and claims that this witness has facilitated meetings between Matlala and Sibiya. And Sibiya's response is that he denies everything completely. Now, he pushed back strongly and even asking if he looks like a drug dealer. And it's now a known fact that the audios exist, but the full transcript, authentication process, and cross-examination testing are not fully public yet. So this remains contested. And secondly, Sibiya is alleged to be a part of the cash couriers inside SAPS, where a CCTV footage was presented showing an SAPS sergeant F.E. Nkosi visiting a known associate home carrying a white paper bag. And the tracker of the SAPS vehicle that was used to fetch the white paper bag was deactivated. And investigators claimed that Nkosi was linked to Sibiya, and Nkosi allegedly moved cash between Matlala and Sibiya. But here's what we do not know publicly. What was inside the bag? Is there confirmed financial trail evidence? Has the money movement been proven in court? Right now, it's an allegation supported by surveillance evidence, but not fully resolved. And the third one is the spy machines allegations. Now, there are claims that Sibiya procured unlawful interception-capable equipment while at the City of Johannesburg Forensic Unit. However, a 2022 SSA assessment reportedly found that the equipment in question was defensive, used to detect surveillance devices, not to spy on people. Now, Sibiya denies procuring illegal spy machines, and this makes the key issue to shift from spying to procurement, governance, and authorization processes. That distinction matters. And the fourth one is the political killing task team. Now, this may be the most serious institutional issue. The PKTT was disbanded and 121 political sensitive dockets were removed, and later a letter dated the 4th of February 2025 referred to as MK10 reportedly directed those dockets towards Sibiya, and provincial leadership says they were not properly notified and they were not given proof of ministerial instruction. However, Sibiya says that he did not act independently. Sibiya also said that he acted on instructions from the National Commissioner, who is Ufani Masimula. He claims that leadership knew that disbandment was coming. So now we have a direct contradiction. Did Sibiya move those documents on his own authority, or was he executing orders from above? The answers depend on documents that are not fully public yet. The emails, the minutes, and the signed directives. And I also have to mention that Sibiya also made counter allegations. Now, Sibiya said that the MK party played a role in building the allegations against him. He also said that General Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi's social media popularity was orchestrated. However, based on available reporting, these claims have not been supported with documented evidence publicly, and that weakens current credibility. And some allegations against Sibiya are supported by audios, CCTVs, and WhatsApp messages. And his counterclaim, at least publicly so far, rely on assertion than documented proof. And until full transcripts and exhibits are released, this remains a credibility contest. But the implications are serious. If wrongdoing is proven, it signals infiltration risk at senior SAPS level. If Sibiya's defense is proven, it suggests that governance failure at the top of command. But either way, this is not a small internal dispute. This is about oversight, this is about accountability, and this is about whether South African policing structures are solid or strained. Now, the commission continues and the evidence is still being tested, and there are no final findings yet. But one thing is clear, this is a defining moment for institutional trust, and South Africa is watching. What are your thoughts?